if you look into history, I look at the buildings that all around Newport. Some of them amazing. People don't look at these.
Well, look at
Yeah, that's what we look at.
the architecture.
Yeah, I was researching this today.
So well, thumbs up.
Do you notice that?
No. But then I remember the way. When Humbug was now and all them, that was all the wine city. Has everyone got a flower? There we go.
Because with that, the main thing of the YMCA they made a lot of money from the boxers. They turned them from street fighters into professional boxers. Especially around the Newport Cathedral area. Some of the boxers there were world champions. And they put the money that they made back into the community. They were real philanthropists, but also training up the other youngsters as well.
Plus they keep them off the street now, probably.
Yeah, but the YMCA, you've got them in there, doing a sport, but also teaching the Bible.
Yeah.
And they feed them in that as well. So they feed them, they're keeping them fit.
But is the YMCA, was that American?
That's what it started here.
Did it?
Yeah, because Americans are that old.
Right. Is the YMCA that old? Oh, I know that. It used to be bigger.
I think the buildings that they charge were not sustainable. Because the YMCA now, as far as I'm aware, it's pretty much like charity. And then the hospitals.
The one in
Yeah. They're not really doing any teaching or training or anything. So that's what they would. Because when they first started, a lot of people were working with the fireworks and coal mines.
Yes. Croeso. Noswaith bawb a chroeso I seremoni goffer siatwyr a eglwys gadeiriol Casnewydd. Good evening everyone and welcome to the Chartist commemoration in the churchyard of Newport Cathedral. Dyn ni wedi dod at ein gilydd I gofio'r y dynion a ymlyddodd a chwynpodd yn enw democratiaeth yng Nghyfryddol y Siatwyr 1839 yma yng Nghasnewydd. We're gathered here together to remember the men who fought and fell in the name of democracy in the Chartist uprising of 1839 here in Newport. Today, we will hear about the story of the Newport Rising, the Chartist movement and its aims, and how these aims resonate in today's world. But first, I would like to invite the very Reverend Ian Black, Dean of Newport Cathedral, to give a word of welcome. Thank you, Ian.
Noswaith Croeso, a very warm welcome to the Cathedral for this annual commemoration of those who were shot as part of the Rising in 1839, and 10 were buried in unmarked graves in this churchyard. I have a simple mind and I boil the 6 points of the Charter down to 2 broad areas: the voices of all being heard and honoured, and decision making being free from corruption. The voices of all means equality and fairness, respect for all citizens. Decision making being free from corruption is about open and free democratic structures and no one being bribed or in the pay of lobby groups. And with recent events, we might add, no one being beyond the reach of the law or scrutiny. I'll leave you to decide who I refer to with that. There's clearly a political change of winds going on at the moment, and not all of it is good. Flags, which could be a sign of identity, can also be an aggressive attack. It's all about the tone in which they are used, and whether these are a way of saying this is who we are and all are welcome under this banner, or whether they are saying we hate you because you're not me and go away. The politics of hate is something to reject, and when we are commemorating ordinary people standing for the rights and dignity of their fellow workers, fellows who were oppressed, this is a moment to stand together, united in our common humanity, to respect and honour the fundamental dignity of all people in our diversity. So, welcome to this annual commemoration in this sacred place in the heart of our city, and as is our custom, we begin everything here with a prayer. God of justice and truth, we thank you for all who have given their all in the struggle of freedom and justice, even paying their lives. May their sacrifice inspire us in our own age to ensure that the voices of all are heard and honoured, and decision making is free from corruption. Give us courage to stand and be counted. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ, who gave his life for our sake. Amen.
Thank you.
Stand
Thank
over
you,
here.
Ian.
What's your...
Our next speakers will help us imagine the momentous events that took place here 186 years ago, on the 4th of November 1839, through the medium of each of our nation's languages. I invite Councillor Dimitri Petruni, leader of Newport City Council, to give the account in English, and Dr. Ellen Jones, Vice Chair of our Chartists Heritage, to give the account in Welsh. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome to this glorious evening. It is Chartist weather indeed. On this night, 4th of November 1839, all the respectable people living in the houses around this cathedral would have closed and shuttered their windows and locked their doors. They would have been waiting in fear and dread for the sound of the marchers they knew were advancing on Newport from the Black Domain, the wild iron and coal towns of the valleys to the north. They had heard the rumours about the unrest there and the wild ideas of mob rule that will be preached on the hillsides to wild, uneducated and ungovernable people. And these wild men did march to Newport through the storm and rain of the night of November the 4th, 1839. Hundreds and hundreds of them, armed, soaked to the skin, many drunk and all desperate. Their leaders had talked to them of justice and a better and fairer world, where ordinary men would have the vote, that they knew a People's Charter setting out the 6 points to achieve this had been drawn up. They knew that the Parliament had rejected that charter and had punished their leaders. They knew that all the efforts made to achieve these ideals through peaceful, lawful means had failed. Now only violence was left. Down Stowe Hill they marched, down to face the soldiers quartered in the Westgate Hotel, down to a violent struggle to injury and, for some of them, death. We are gathered here this evening to remember those who died that night and were buried together in unmarked graves somewhere in this graveyard. We live in the world they dreamed of but never saw, in a country where everyone has the vote and can use it without intimidation or bribery, a world where members of Parliament are not chosen only from the rich and the well-connected. We live in that democracy of which they could only dream and struggle and die for. We honour them tonight and we remember them by name, but we honour them too whenever we cast our vote, whenever we urge others to use their votes, our democratic rights are gained through struggle and suffering. Let us not forget or make light of that. Thank you.
So the same words, but in the language most of these people would have spoken, the only language probably they spoke, And I speak the dialect of Gwent, the dialects that they would have spoken as well, many of them. So you'll hear a little tint, a little tongue will pass from what I say. Ar y noson hon, y pedwerydd o Dachwedd, 1839, fe fydd y holl bobl parchus oedd yn byw yn y tai o gwmpas yr eglwys hon wedi cael a chloio eu ffenestri ac wedi cloi i drysau. Fe fydd yn aros mewn ofen a dychryn, a'n sŵn y dolyg nhw, eich ysgwyr, oedd rhywun yn dod siarad cas newydd o'r deyrnas fi, ardal tredu gwyllt o glo a haian cymoedd gogledd. Trawsant y Sion am yr anref yno, y syniadau gwyllt am reolaeth y drygfer, oedd yn cael ei pregethu ar y bryniau i'w gynnychu fawr o bobl gwyllt anrhyfferol a reolaeth. A daeth y dynion gwyllt yn fawr i Gasnewydd trwy storm ar drychyn noson y pedwerydd y Dachwedd 1839. Canoedd ar ganoedd ohonynt yn arfod, yn ofod ac yn lyd i'r glod, cywer yn feddwl a phob un ohonynt yn orffwn. Siaradodd ei harwainwyr iddynt am gyfiawnder, yn byd gwyllt yn efo dynion cyffredin a hawl i gweithio. Gwyddant fy tater o bobl wedi lunio yn gosod allan y 6 pwynt gyda'n sicrhau hynny. Gwyddant fy Senedd wedi gwrthod y ffaith hynny ac wedi cosbi arweinwyr. Gwyddant fy pob ymdrech i wedi i gyfreithion drwy ddysgu heddychlon a chyfreithion wedi lesu. Dim ond taith o'r ôl i ddechrau. Lawr Stroll Hill yn Heron, lawr i Wynydd Miliwn yn aros yn wesgu'r desgyr, lawr i ymladd gweidlyd i glwyfar ac i rai ohono i farwolaeth. I ni wedi cysgu neu yno i gofio rhai fydd farw'r noson hynny, ac y glafwyd yma gyda'r gilydd mewn bedau fi yno. Ein byd ni heddi yw byd i breuddwydion ni, byd na welsom. Gwled sy'n y pleidlais am bob oedolyn, a byd lle cael pleidleisio heb ofan a heb logod o blwyos. Byd lle mae aelodau seneddol wedi dewis o blith bobl cyffredin, nid o blith y cyfoethog a'r breintiedig. I ni'n byw mewn gwlad democrataidd. Y democratiaeth y buon nhw'n breuddwydio amdani, yn ymladd i'w hennill ac yn marw drosti. Anrhydeddon nhw heno, a chofio nhw wrth i henwen, ond fe anrhydeddon nhw bob tro y byddwn nhw'n bwrw yn pleidlais. Bob tro y byddwn nhw'n annog eraill i ddefnyddio i pleidlais. Trwy ymdrech a dioddefaint enillwyd ein hawliau. Na foed ni fyth anghofio na bychanu hynny.
Diolch yn fawr, Dimitri a Ellen. Next time you are passing Friarswood car park, take a look at Sebastian Boysen's 60-metre frieze, into which a poem about the Newport Rising is woven along laser-cut panels of steel and Pyrmont ink. The poem is called The March, and it was written by Gillian Clark, the National Poet of Wales, from 2008 to 2016. I'm going to read it to you tonight. It was dedicated to her late father-in-law, Glyndwr Thomas, a miner from Oakdale Colliery. Boots and rain, drum the tramroads, that bitter night in 1839. Potholed and stumbled with mud and stone. 5,000 men, workers in iron and coal, from mine and furnace, to Howie, Ebu, Rumney, heads bowed against the storm like mountain ponies. Their bones ached from the shift, wind in the shaft, the heat of furnaces. Yet on they marched, their minds ablaze because their cause was right. Through darkness, from Ebbw Vale, Blackwood, Pontypool, faces frozen and stung by the lash of rain, trudging the roads to Newport through the night. At the Welsh Oak in Rogerstone, betrayed by daylight, cross men from the west, Williams from the east, Jones men never arrived. The rest struck on to stand united of one heart in the square of the West Gate. Had they stood silent then? Had they not surged forward? Had they not been shaken by rage against injustice? Had they muzzled the soldiers' muskets with a multitude of silence? Had reason spoken, those steely thousands might have won the day. But they stormed the doors to set their comrades free, and shots were fired, and freedom's dream was broken. A score dead, 50 wounded. Their leaders tried, condemned, transported. The movement, in disarray, lost 50 years. But then came, at last, that shift of power, one spoonful of thin gruel at a time, from strong to weak, from rich to poor, from men to women, like a grudged gift. Now is the part of the commemoration, when we invite Newport's elected representatives in the Senedd and the House of Commons to share with us what the Chartist story means to them. Unfortunately, due to business in the Senedd and House of Commons, the representatives can't be with us in person this evening. So, to this end, we're going to read their messages. And first of all, I'd like to ask Ellen to read a message prepared by Paradir Owen Griffiths. Diolch.
Carerin joined us last year for the first time. He was last year or the year before, and nobody recognised him, bless him. But he is our regional representative in the Senedd, and he does normally do his best to attend, and he's been to Hub and all the rest of it. So we know that all our members of the Senedd and members of Parliament have been faithful attendees at this ceremony for years, and we're very sorry that none of them can be here tonight. But Carerin has sent us quite a long message. One in English, one in Welsh, exactly the same. I'll read the English first, and then we'll pick up the Welsh. Carerin says, I am grateful for the opportunity to send a message for this important event, which I sadly could not attend. The Chartists left an indelible mark on our lives. Their courage, determination and sacrifices still echo through our communities today. Their struggle won the enfranchisement many now take for granted, reminding us never to be complacent about our democratic rights and freedoms. There remain those in power who would erode those hard-won rights. It was cause to withdraw from the European Convention on Human Rights. We must ask, whose interests will that truly serve? Civil and workers' rights are never secured forever. They must be defended by every generation. Thankfully, we have the Chartists' remarkable example to inspire us. There is much in our nation's history to be proud of, and the Chartists stand among the finest. It is right that we honour their achievements and their sacrifices in the cause of justice. And in Welsh, Paradir says, I can't do his North Wales accent, sorry. Rwy'n ddiolchgar am y cyfle I anfon neges ar gyfer y digwyddiad pwysig hwn, nad oedd hwn gweithio'r modd yn gallu ei wynechu. Mae'r siartwyr wedi gadael ei holl ddofn ar ein bywydau. Mae ei dewrder, ei penderfyniad a'i hyberthlain parhau I atseinio yn ein cymunedau heddiw. Enillodd I brwydr yr hawl I bleidleisio, y mae llawer bellach yn ei gymryd yn ganiataol, gan ein hatgoffa I beidio byth a bod yn hunanfodlon am ein hawliau democrataidd a'n byddegau. Mae rai mewn grym o hyd a fydden tanseilio'r hawliau a enillwyd mor galed. Tystiwch y galwadau iddyn ni nôl o'r Gonfensiwn Ewrop a'r hawliau dynol. Dylem ofyn, bydd pwy y bydde hynny mewn gwirionedd? Nid yw hawliau sifil na hawliau'r gweithwyr byth wedi sicrhau'n derfynol. Rhaid I bob cenhedlaeth a'i hamddiffyn. Yn ffodus, mae gennym enghraifft ryfeddol y siartwyr i'n hysbrydoli. Mae llawer yn hanes ein cenedl dwi'n gallu bod yn falch ohono ac mae'r siarter ymhlith y gore. Mae'n iawn i bod yn ein hanrydeddu a'i cyfraniadau a'i hybersau yn enw cyfiawnder.
Diolch yn fawr, Helen. Now I'd like to invite Melinda, the chair of our Chartist Heritage, to give us the message prepared for us by Jane Bryant. And John Griffiths, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Both with us on Saturday in the convention.
First from Jane Bryant. We remember the tragic events which occurred at the Westgate Hotel and those who came in the dark to pay tribute to the 22 killed in the name of democracy. But Chartism is not just about one day. It was a movement which we are so very proud of here in the city of Newport. This day marks the culmination of the commemorations and an opportunity to redouble our efforts to make sure we continue to renew our democracy in Wales. Our democracy is precious. The last few years have reminded us just how fragile it is. In Wales, we are constantly looking to remove barriers to voting. In the Senedd elections, we had votes for 16-year-olds, which happened again in the local elections, and for foreign nationals who have made Wales their home. The Welsh Government is also looking to improve voter participation with pilots including automatic voter registration. We owe it to ourselves and the generations who follow to remember the Chartist cause, a cause that fought for recognition and that refused to be denied. We must never take our democracy for granted. And from John Griffiths, Member of Senedd. I'm sorry I'm not able to be with you this evening for our great commemoration of our inspiring Chartist history and legacy. We certainly need to draw on our Chartist values and principles for the issues of today. The Chartists wanted political power for a purpose, to radically improve the lives of working people. That challenge remains. Newport, Wales, the UK and the world are blighted by inequality, lack of equality of opportunity and too little equality of outcome. We still need a radical redistribution of wealth and power to working people. Without that, some in our communities will continue to feel left behind and alienated, with all the evils that brings for our democracy and community cohesion. We must draw on our Chartist legacy to build a renewed, reinvigorated, progressive politics for Wales, strongly pro-devolution, strengthening our Senedd and its ability to deliver for our people, and creating a much fairer, more equal and socially just nation. That is the Wales for which the Chartists organised, campaigned and sacrificed so much. It falls on us today to carry on that fight for democracy and social justice, for a 21st century Wales of which we can all be truly proud.
Thank you, Melinda. Thank you. Now I'd like to read the message from Ruth Jones and Jessica Morden. On this day in 1839, thousands of working people marched on Newport, demanding fairness, representation, and a voice in their own governance. They came not with privilege or power, but with courage and conviction. This struggle was not just for themselves, but for generations yet to come. For the right of ordinary people to shape the future of our country. Democracy is facing turbulent times once again. around the world and even closer to home, we see efforts to weaken the institutions and freedoms that generations before us have fought to secure. The Chartists reminded us that democracy is never a finished project. It must be protected and renewed by every generation, and today that has never been more important. It is down to every one of us to ensure that the residents of Newport and Islwyn receive the representation our democracy demands. Whether in Parliament, in our communities, or in our daily lives, we all share a responsibility to uphold the principles the Chartists died for: fairness, equality, and the right for every voice to be heard. Every day, as we go about our work in Westminster, we keep the Chartists and their mission at the forefront of what we do. The Chartists knew how precious our democracy is, and that is their legacy to us. We must continue to honour that legacy, not just in words, but through our actions. As we remember them tonight, let us rededicate ourselves to that same spirit of courage and hope, to building a democracy worthy of their sacrifice, and a future where every citizen's voice truly matters. Now I call upon the Mayor of Newport, I think I can see over there, thank you, Councillor Kate Thomas, to read the roll call of those Chartists who died outside the Westgate Hotel in 1839. Thank you, Kate.
Most people hear me coming before they say it. Good evening. Somebody counted that me, thank you very much. Now this evening, in a moment, I'll read out the names of each of those men who we know died at the Westgate Hotel on this date. This evening I also want to remember together those whose names we do not normally mark. Those who also died that night, or in the days or in the weeks which followed, because they too stood up for the rights and for justice for ordinary working people. When the sound of bullets cracked out over the into the crowd, some who knew that they were seriously injured crept or crawled away into the shadows, knowing their part in an insurrection was a death sentence from a court. They knew to return home openly to seek help would heap danger on their family and friends. Those people knew there would be no help and no healing if things turned out for the worst, because the Chartist demands were threats to the world order as it was then known, and privilege, elitism and entitlement would fall. We remember them as well, and wherever they lie. So I will now read the names of those that we know fell that night. Abraham Thomas, collier of Blaina. Isaac Thomas of Nantiglow. William Williams of Cumtulary. David Morgan, tinker of Tredegar. John Morris, miner. William Aberdare. John the Roller, Nantiglow. John Codd. David Davis of Wenigan, Brynmawr. Di Davis, son of David Davis. William Evans, miner of Tredegar. William Faraday, collier of Blackwood. John Jonathan of Blaina. William Griffiths of Merthyr, Lodge 657. Robert Lansdowne. Rhys Meredith of Tredegar. Evan Davis, a collier. John Davis, a carpenter of Pontynewydd. Private Williams, a deserter of the 29th Regiment of Foot. And George Shell, 18-year-old apprentice carpenter from Pontypool. May the sacrifice that was made by the Chartists, by the Chartists to gain justice, liberty and the right to vote always remain a valued gift for us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Not quite yet. 50 feet. Finally, we traditionally lay flowers at the Chartists Memorial Stone to honour the courage and memory of the Chartists. Tonight, as we lay flowers and ponder the meaning of their sacrifice, for them in 1839 and for us also in 2025, we will play Kevin Brennan's song about the Newport Rising Believe.
Can I just ask, since we have not been able to clap because we're holding flowers and brollies, could we all stamp our appreciation for all the speakers?
Thank you very much indeed. Diolch yn fawr iawn. That's a lovely question. Diolch.
Anyone against?
Rose for one. Kevin, of course, was an MP, democratically elected, let us remember, and a great, great fan of rock music, I think, and of Chartism, and a cracking singer, actually. I hope he's singing on this.
With our leaders transporting labor.
Diolch yn fawr ad eich presenoldeb noswaith. Thank you all for your presence here today. Thanks especially to all our contributors. May the history of the Chartists long be told, and their quest for democracy held up as an exemplar to each of us to promote fairness, freedom and justice in our world today. Diolch yn fawr.
Well, we all being elected next year. Not Georgia, niece.